All right. Thanks everyone for joining us for the Empirical Enlightenment podcast. I'm here with Maira. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. And you grew up in like an ayahuasca-based religion. Is that also correct?
Yes.
Okay. So to be frank, I mostly just want to hear your story. Most of this podcast is about like the science behind some of this stuff, but DMT is a tricky one. But you have such an interesting story. I think I'd rather just kind of listen to that for now, and then maybe we can get into the science. So, can you kind of tell me the background of that religion, what it was like growing up in it, some of the benefits, and if you want some of like the negative sides of it? I don't know anything about it, so um, talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old learning about it.
Okay. Okay. So I'm from a really small town in Brazil, in the middle of Brazil. It is in the state of Mato Grosso, which is part of the rainforest. And my parents split up. I was 3 years old. I have a very mixed up family. My great-grandmother was indigenous and she married my great-grandfather who came from Europe. So it's a huge mix.
Cool.
And when my dad separated from my mom, he remarried, and my stepmom quickly wanted to pursue something more, more healing, a better life for them. And when I was 7 years old, they found this religion in Rio called União do Vegetal. And the name, although they have temples all over the world, the name remains in Portuguese, and most of the teachings are also in Portuguese. So União do Vegetal is a Christian-based religion who uses ayahuasca in their ceremonies for spiritual growth.
Wow.
And that they use the tea usually twice a week, every 15 days, because it's how long the DMT stays in your body. But because my dad quickly grew up in this religion and became one of the, I'd say, priests. It's not how we call it. We call master. But he became one of the priests, and we would have almost every week. We would drink it almost every week. There was always like an extra session, a festive session, a welcoming session to somebody new. So that changed everything. It was for sure our lives prior to this religion and then post this religion. Because my dad, he was like everybody else in the 70s. He was wild and fun, and he's still very fun though. But he used to, do some stuff, some illicit stuff. And then all of a sudden he became this spiritual figure that everybody loves and adores, and everything changed in our house. The way he was raising us and everything that I was learning. But, let's give it a break. First of all, most people who are just getting in touch with ayahuasca, sometimes they spend years preparing. I'm preparing for this one session. I was 7 when my family took me to my first session and handed me the first cup of ayahuasca.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I loved it. It clicked for me. I was like, okay, this is different. And I was a kid.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know what life would be without it. All I knew was my life with that communion of the tea, because it was not just about the tea. Okay. We're talking about a Christian-based religion. All of the teachings are done in verbal way. There's nothing written. You drink the tea, you sit down, someone guides the session, usually the master or the master, He guides the session. They do some chantings to open and bring the force, play some music. And then in the middle, it opens up for everyone to ask questions about spirituality. And you can ask a question, or you can make one of the chants if you learn how to make them, to bring force or light. And you can speak as well. So it was really a space for studying about spirituality or anything. I remember the first question I asked when I was 9 years old. I was pretty young.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, what is merit? What does it mean to deserve or not deserve something? And so I can tell, looking back, that it gave me a lot of perspective about life and the spiritual path that I started so early on. Because I remember turning into a teenager, I wanted to have fun. I wanted to go party. I wanted to do things that my friends were doing, but my conscience wouldn't let me just do anything. Sometimes I would sit there and my mind was like, you're not supposed to do this. And so it kind of, I was annoyed by that voice in my head, the conscious that I was, learning probably from this place. And I was probably saved from a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Was that the teachings of the religion? So I guess it's because it's kind of almost like it's a mix of, sounds like Christian and Amazonian teachings. So were the teachings like, oh, no premarital sex, no drug use besides ayahuasca, that kind of stuff? No.
Not really. No, it's not like that. So it was not like churchy, like, because when I grew up, give a pause. Growing up, I decided to experiment different religions to see, is this the place that I want to stay? Is this the place that I want for me? Because I didn't have a choice. I was very young when my parents joined. So I went to different religions, and I think that there was a huge difference from everything I saw in other religions and this one. First of all, I didn't see in other religions the ability of asking questions and questioning things.
Oh, yeah.
And in this religion, we learned we have to question everything. And we have to, ask ourselves, is this really it? Is this, does that make sense for me?
That's cool.
And I think that is powerful. Not it didn't feel like a brainwash of this is it. And, there's no other way around it. The other thing is the tea brings you enough conscious to know if it really makes sense to you. Sometimes I would hear certain things that I'd be like, I'm not sure about that. But with the light of the tea, I could see exactly through it. I could be like, yeah, even if I don't like it, it is what it is. And then sometimes I'd be like, no, this person is not, whatever she's saying.
Yeah.
No,
You're
I
like,
just don't buy
that's
it.
fishy. I have so many questions, but a couple that come to mind are, how strong was that tea? Because I've seen some of those ayahuasca retreats, and yeah, people are throwing up, and I've done DMT through vaping, and it was in and out in 15 minutes, right? Like,
Not
you take it.
it.
No, yeah. I'd assume not, because your body's metabolizing it, and it's like so how strong was the tea, and how long did it last, basically?
So the sessions, they last 4 hours and 15 minutes.
Okay.
And this is how long usually it takes for the effect to wash out. We were allowed to repeat the tea past 2 hours of the session. So sessions usually are on a Saturday. They start at 8 p.m. and they end at midnight in 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then this is a massive community. I mean, I've drank this tea with 500 people in a room before.
Holy cow.
So it is a huge amount of group throughout the world, spread around the world. And we would stay in the temple after the sessions, just chatting and talking and sharing up until 5 in the morning most of the times.
Wow.
So I think that first thing is it's very community oriented, and that was what drew me in the first place to stay for so many years. And I stayed for 31 years.
Wow.
I'm not there anymore, and then we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So the second thing is the tea. So we prepare the tea. We have, when I say we, I almost talk like I'm still part of the community.
Well, 31 years is a long time. Yeah.
31 years
Yeah.
is more than half of my life. So,
yeah.
So we buy areas in the rainforest to protect and conserve and plant this tree and the vine and the leaves, and then we collect them. We prepare the tea. There's a whole level of energy and preparation that goes into preparing the tea. And then we drink the tea while preparing it to make sure it's the right,
It's the good stuff.
It's the good stuff. That are what people don't understand sometimes is that there are different types of vine within Mariri. And one of them will give you a more physical reaction. So if you drink this one of them, this one type of wine, when we prepare, usually the temple gives to people that type of wine when the master sees, like when the direction of the temple sees that there are things happening in the community that need some work, they will give people that tea, and that one makes you throw up more and makes you be more physical and makes you clean up. Really.
Yeah.
It, like we say, it entangles the knots in your body and in your life.
Gets the toxins out.
Yes. And then the other one brings you more light, and it's more relaxing and more visual. So sometimes when people are like, oh, I'm going to ayahuasca retreat, I'm skeptical most of the times because I'm like, who prepared this tea? What kind of energy they put into this? Who is directing this session? Do they know how to support people who are there?
Yeah.
Because there's so many fake shamans out there. So many people who kind of self-proclaim to be, I'm like, because I've drank it for so many years, and I saw so many men and women directing sessions. I'm like, you can see through them when you are very comfortable with the tea right away. I'm like, no.
You can sniff it out.
Yeah, sometimes I would be sitting there and the person would start speaking. I'm like, no, I'm getting up. I'm not listening to this. So there are different types of tea. And then despite of how strong it is when you take it, you will only get what you deserve. And the DMT within Chacrona and Mariri, these two plants, they will give you exactly what you need at that moment. And if what you need at that moment is some cleanse, you're going to cleanse. But that's not a rule. It's not like, oh, you're always going to throw up. Not true. You're always going to feel sick. Not true at all. You're always going to see just light. Also not true. Every time it's going to be different, and you're always going to get what you deserve or what it's there for you. So I think it's very interesting when I see people, who had one experience and they talk like, now I know, I uncovered everything. And I'm like, really? Because I had it more than 1,000 times, and I still find things to uncover every time I go.
Every time. So I guess it's like whatever's bothering you in your mind, that's what it kind of either roots out or it makes you deal with things. Is that kind of what's happening? Or
it makes you see through your own bullshit. It makes you see through yourself. Like, there's no hiding from yourself when you drink the tea. It's going to show you whatever you need to see. And, we, as people, we are so used to putting on so many masks every day. And it just takes them all out. When you drink the tea, there's no hiding.
Yeah.
You just have to sit and look and give a deep look into your soul and all of your BS. And it's tough. It's not for everyone because not everyone is ready to look through their, their
Face their
stuff.
demons.
Yes, face their demons.
Sometimes they're not ready to fight their shadow self that's lingering in there.
No, and ayahuasca will put you in touch with everything you need to be in touch with. But it's after the session, after the DMT washes out, that the work starts.
Yeah.
And what do you do with that? And I think that's the tricky part, because most people think, I'll just drink the tea and everything will change. Well, not really. Things don't change, and sitting with having to do the work is not easy.
Yeah.
And that's when most people fail. That's when most people are like, how the fuck do I do this? That's why I participate in so many ayahuasca groups on Facebook, because I'm always interested to see where people are at. And so many people are like, I drink this tea and now I feel more depressed than I thought it was going to heal my depression. I'm like, it's because it's bringing up to the surface the work that you need to get done. And unless you get the work done, it becomes really painful.
Oh, it bubbles up all the stuff that's deep inside you, and if you root it out, it's like that's what happens with a lot of antibiotics. Like you take it and you feel worse because it's breaking up the bacteria, and the bacteria, they're toxic, right? And so they've exploded inside you. And so in order for your body to heal it, though, it needs to kill them first and then flush it out. So it sounds like it's doing that more on like the metaphysical level.
Yeah, it just brings a lot to the surface. And if you're not willing to do the work, then the next time you go drink,
no, it's even worse.
It's worse because it's like, it's almost like the tea looks at you and you didn't do your work. We're going to have to revisit that. And then it's just a little more painful and like, oh my God, I should have fixed that. I know it.
Amplify the demons even more. It's fascinating. So my background, I have a doctorate in physiology and pharmacology, but I was, to be frank, I was curious what you were going to be like. If you're doing DMT your whole life growing up, I was like, I wonder if it did something. But no, you seem like a perfectly well-adjusted, normal person. So I thought I was going to be. Yeah, I don't know. Well, you present yourself at least like a very well-rounded, normal person. I thought I was going to be talking with someone who's permanently on the astral plane, or something along those lines, because I've bumped into those people, right, where they've done too much of certain things and they're permanently there. They're just hanging out there all the time. That's like, for better or worse, maybe they're a lot happier, but they're no longer in the temporal realm. They've transcended.
Yeah. No, no, that's not my thing. And also, the people that I grew up in this community, they're definitely not like that. They're very grounded. My little brother, I have a 21-year-old brother, and he drank the tea from pregnancy. My stepmom was pregnant and she was drinking the tea.
Yeah.
And most of the kids that I saw growing up in the temple, pregnant women drink it, babies drink it.
Perfectly fine.
And then in the US, they prohibited ayahuasca for over 10 years. There was a legal battle against the church. Oh. And for 10 years, people here, part of the church, would drink water during their sessions. And we had to put a lot of work and studies to be made to prove to the Supreme Court in the US that this was harmless to the health. And there was plenty of studies done, especially in children and teenagers. And the studies prove that teenagers and kids exposed to ayahuasca at early age, they have less tendencies of having drug or alcohol issues when they grow up, and they have better concentration capacity. So you would be surprised if you walked into a temple, but people are pretty grounded and
Pretty
boring
grounded.
and
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
normal. They don't look like
Oh,
they're in
that's not
the.
exciting. I thought I'd walk in and they were having some kind of weird, well, I guess I can't use the word orgy, but I thought it was going to be something crazy. But no, it sounds
No,
like
but they are
it's.
weird. I was part of that, and we would sit down on a whatever day in the morning to just have fun, or maybe a barbecue or something, and talk about our worst like times, like throwing up and pooping ourselves, and cracking up about it. Who does that? Who is like, oh, that day, man, I threw up all over so and so, and we would just laugh because it's very
Explosive
familiar.
diarrhea. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen some videos of those things, but yeah. I I have a friend who's kind of really into this stuff, and the analogy he uses is you're jiggling the wires of reality. Would you say that's true? It's like it helps you become aware of reality. It's almost like a computer cable. It's like you kind of go in and out of reality. Is that something that's accurate, or could you kind of explain exactly, because I've never done the oral version before,
Mm.
exactly what goes on during those 4.5 hours?
Okay, when you drink ayahuasca, so first of all, every time is different. And so for me to come here and say this is gonna be
This is how it is. Yeah, yeah.
it's not the complete truth for everyone. So this is my experience over 1,000 times. I drank the tea more than 1,000 times in my lifetime, but like in all this more than 1,000 times, my experience was always different, was never the same, but I could see some things were the same. I never lost track of reality. Like, I'm in a place that I don't know where I am. No. I was always very present. I knew I was sitting there in a temple having this tea, sitting with people. I was fully aware of, like, I'm grounded, but my mind can go places, but I'm still here and I still know that I'm here. I was never completely out. Like, oh, having a trip that I don't know where I am. No, that never happened to me. And I don't think it happens with ayahuasca.
Yeah.
I think that you can see the line very clear between reality and non-reality. That
Okay.
is a very clear line. Um, and mostly you experience is yourself in the beauty and in the shadows. So whatever you see and feel, it really has to do with yourself. And if you're a very empathic person like I am, you can feel the energy of the surrounding. So sometimes I would just assimilate energies that were not mine necessarily, but from the group overall. That's not very easy to deal with.
Yeah.
Um, but when the person directing the session is really good at what they're doing, they're able to feel it and bring chants and songs and like chantings that direct the energy and cleanse the energy and keep the people in a more elevated state of mind.
Yeah.
Um, I've directed a couple of sessions myself, so I had the experience of sitting there, but I also had the experience to direct sessions for other people, and that was wow, that is so different than actually sitting in a session. It's like you're speaking the words, and the words are looking at you in your face, like anything you say it's not true will come back at your face immediately. It's insane
Yeah.
how that's why we say nobody can hide when they're drinking ayahuasca because it just uncovers everything.
Yeah.
Um yeah.
So
So
yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, I interviewed somebody who does relationship stuff, and she called what you're speaking of limbic resonance, I believe, but it's kind of the concept of matching energies. And um, it's really hard to do scientific research on this stuff, But when I did LSD once, I've done all these things like once, but you can feel that, right? You can feel the energy of the room, and whoever you're standing next to and either looking in the eye or who's sitting next to you, their energy and their aura is so strong. And like I said, I'm a man of science or whatever. And but
Me too.
yeah, are you a science person? Well, yeah, and so like I don't think I'd classify myself as an atheist per se, but that stuff is real, and you can feel it, and that person can feel it, and there's like this wavelength, and I don't know if it's like some crazy sixth sense extrasensory thing where just by looking at a person's face and their eyes and their mouth that you can sync up like that, or if it's some crazy evolution thing that helps us all work together as a tribe, like a group of monkeys where you can feel each other's energy and aura. But that's real. And it definitely shows up in like every culture, right? There's like chi in China or ki in Japan, or I don't know what it's called in your religion or that religion. But in Mormonism, which is what I grew up in, it's the Holy Spirit. But it shows up everywhere, right?
It
And it's
does. And
crazy.
it's powerful. So I was a teacher at University of Florida when I was finishing my PhD in geography. And one of the classes that I taught was plants, health, and spirituality. And we talked about a lot about psychedelics and plants that have the power to heal. I'm
Yeah.
super interested in them because I work with indigenous communities in the rainforest. I've done that for the past 20 years. And I work with shamans, and I've seen their work with plants, not just ayahuasca, but different plants too. And some plants are extremely powerful. I mean, you have peyote, you
Yeah.
have marijuana, who, most people are like using
Yeah.
recreationally, but
They're
has
all
a
about it.
lot of healing power to it, has a lot of medical power to it. You have, let me try to remember everything.
Let's see here. There's obviously mushrooms, the golden teacher,
Mushrooms.
whatever.
I'm trying to remember this one plant from
Licking
Africa
frogs.
that is amazing.
Ashwagandha, but I guess that's less spiritual.
No,
I
but
think that
there's
one's from
one
Africa.
plant that is being used for drug addiction and helps with one session.
Oh
And
wow,
this is what I'm
that's one
trying
I should
to.
know. I need to keep up with my my pharmacology. You're embarrassing me here.
Well, no, but mama's brain fog here. Bear with me. After having my children, I swear to God, half of my brain just went
He just sucked it
somewhere.
straight out of you. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm like, what? I've studied this for so long. Where's the
I'm the
thing?
same
It's
way.
right here.
Yeah, there's only so much room in your brain. There are those people who say you only use 10% of your brain. They're totally full of it. My brain is at capacity like 90% of the time, I think. But no, they're everywhere. I did my PhD in San Antonio, and they have a little Alamo thing you can go to, and there's a bunch of different Spanish missions there. But they were talking about the indigenous communities that lived there before, and they had a magic bean. I haven't bothered to look it up, but they would all take this bean and they would dance around a fire, and it was a
Wow.
psychedelic bean.
Now I'm
Um,
interested.
yeah, I need to look it up. But anyway, no, they're everywhere, right? These plants, these rituals, these whatever, where you tap into that aura, you know, and so it's part of the human experience for sure.
Iboga.
Iboga.
Yes. I had to open my computer. I'm like, I need to remember this name.
They use that for curing
For drug
addiction. For
addiction,
drug addiction.
yes. I know because
Interesting.
I have two brothers who undergo this treatment, and it's one session, and it lasts 12 hours. It's really powerful.
Clean
Um,
you out.
yes, it's really, really powerful. So, I truly believe in the power of plants, but also how do you use it? With
Yeah.
whom? your setting, everything else, it matters because it has an influence in your experience.
Yeah.
And the energy level, I mean, my husband, he had a lot of ayahuasca experiences. He is an atheist, and I am a truly believer because I saw baby Jesus when I was 9 during a session. So I'm
Yeah.
like, no one is telling me that's not baby Jesus. I saw him. So, and he said, well, you saw this because you have ingrained in your brain the idea of
You were
this
tripping or whatever.
person.
Yeah.
But, he experienced, I'm like, do you experience the power of love when you are in the tea? He's like, yes. I'm like, well, that's God. That it's not a person sitting in a throne making your life miserable. That's the energy of love, plain simple. But that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Other people will name it differently. I don't care.
No, that's my wife's view on it as well. It's God is love. It's that energy, it's that cosmic force. It's not a guy telling you not to masturbate or whatever.
For Christ's sake, right? I mean, come on. He has more to do. Energy has more work to do than being like, you should not do that.
Yeah, be like telling you what to do and what not to do. Yeah. I think that seems to be what's more and more people are thinking. It's more of a binding energy and a binding force. And like I said, I think with DMT and LSD and these other things, it's you're either exciting that part of your brain that can super pick up on auras and that kind of stuff, or you're communing with the spirit world. I'm not sure which, and I don't know if it really matters, because either way, you're both on that plane of existence. And people can get that through breath work and meditation and find that realm as well. So here's the uncomfortable question, and you don't have to answer if you don't want, but why have you left it, or why do you not do it anymore? Are you on a detox from detoxing?
No, not at all. It was in 2018. I was separating from my ex-husband, and for some reason, I went through this sort of, it's not a therapy per se, but it was like a therapy work, intensive therapy work, 7 days with a group in Florida called Sattva Institute. And during that process, just a lot of questioning of too many things came up for me.
Yeah.
And I decided to take a step back from everything, from husband, from religion, from everything, because I saw a lot of things in my life were not exactly how I wanted them to be. And I decided I need some time without the tea, without anyone, just by myself to figure this out.
Yeah.
And during that time, something in my gut told me to leave the group, to leave the religion. And the reason why was, after so many years, they're my family. My entire family's there.
Yeah.
All my friends from childhood are there. They still don't understand why I left.
Yeah.
Because that was my entire life. That was my community. But there was something not about them, but about me that was happening session after session. So my background story that I was telling, my dad became this huge spiritual master. But my mom had a lot of trouble with drugs. She was a drug addict. For some time she sold some drugs, and her life was really messy. But we are half mom and half dad. My mom is this wild, free-spirited person, and I think that every time I would drink the tea, I would suppress that side of me that was wild and free-spirited, because for this religion, there were a lot of rules, and, the path is very narrow, and like, this is what you should be doing. And I struggled for a lot of years. I just couldn't pin it up for me because I grew up there. So for me to be like, actually, I shouldn't box my shadow. I should embrace it. And I should embrace all the wild side of me. And that's what's gonna bring me peace.
Yeah.
And but that part of me is kind of too much for that group. It doesn't fit in there because you have so many rules there to follow. And I understand why they have the rules, because otherwise, you have a huge group of people trying to heal themselves drinking a psychedelic tea.
Yeah.
If you don't have rules, it becomes messy. So I appreciate the rules. I'm not against them, but they just didn't serve all of me.
Yeah.
And it was really hard for me to understand that in order to honor myself truly, I had to step back, that was not necessarily my place. They wear uniforms and they sit during their sessions, and I'm like, I want to dance around the fire. I want to, step naked in the forest. I don't want to be putting clothes on to cover myself. Like, I'm a witch. I'm free, and I want to be this wild woman that I am.
Yeah.
But it just took me all of my strength and courage to be able to say that to myself, because my father being the figure that he is, and I admired him so much, I was terrified to being like, Dad, actually, I love you so much, but
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore. I want to run naked in the jungle. And it was like, it was hard. I think it was hard for my family. It was hard for me. It was a pivotal moment in my life, but it was the best thing that I've done for myself.
Yeah.
And I found whatever I was gaining from the tea, I found it in meditation. I found it in the rainforest. I found it in breath work. And that changed my life completely. So I still have all my friends from childhood. I love them and adore them. And sometimes I'll come to a session, but I don't do that in the settings all the time with them anymore.
So it's still a part of you, but it's not like your raison d'etre or whatever. It's not your what you do all the time. You don't follow their strict code anymore.
No,
Yeah.
that was so hard in the first place. I feel like I was killing my soul little by little every time I was like falling into that narrow path. And I understand actually for some people it's actually freeing their soul and they need structure. And most people need to have a clear path laid out for them. That's not me. I like not having it all clear. I like not having a narrow, straight path. I like creating my own way through it. And I'm just, I'm creative and very kind of energetic. And I like to be able to fully express myself. And it was a tough space for me to be in because there was so many rules for women, for how you behave and what you dress. And I was like,
So
no.
is that the Christian side of it? You said it's a mix of like Portuguese Christianity and Amazonian.
So it's not. So let me explain to you. This is Christian based only in a sense that they follow the teachings of Christ, which is basically love yourself, love your neighbor, respect people.
Okay.
They don't follow the Bible. They don't have, it's not, how do I explain this?
It's not, do they believe in Christ?
Yes.
They do. Okay. Do they believe in like being saved through Christ?
Not really. It's not like that. You're gonna, through developing and becoming a better person, that's how you save yourself.
Okay. Is there an afterlife?
They believe in reincarnation.
Reincarnation?
Yeah,
Okay.
it means you die and then you come back to fix whatever you still need to fix and keep growing as a spirit.
Okay. But with the DMT, it obviously has an indigenous part as well, right? No?
I wouldn't say that. And
No?
I'm only gonna say this, so maybe it's my perspective, but um, I've drank the tea with indigenous people in the rainforest, and just their way of living is very different, and the way of communicating and doing the tea is very different than the UDV way. But I think that the respect for nature is there. That is similar. The respect for all beings and knowing that we're part of nature. Yes, that is kind of the
Shamanism.
same
Yeah,
across
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But indigenous people don't go drinking the tea and talking about Jesus Christ. That's not their thing.
No, yeah. Yeah. But this is, boy, I'll be honest with you. Every single thing I thought about this interview is the exact opposite of I thought it was like some indigenous, like, not sex cult, but just like, this free spirited in the woods, everybody doing
No,
DMT.
no.
But it's the exact opposite. It's like this super structured, stringent, you've got
Super
like Christ
structured.
mixed in there. And no, it's I don't mean to minimalize who you are, but like, as a fellow traveler, I'm the same. My origin is Mormonism, and I'm no longer doing that, but I'm still friends with all those people and all that. I almost feel like it's genetic. And as a fellow PhD, maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't. I do believe in free will to an extent, but I almost feel like for me, I have 7 brothers, and half are still Mormon and half are not. And my dad is really Mormon, and my mom was not. And so it's split perfectly down the middle. And I know it's anecdotal, but it almost feels like Mother Nature has selected for some people to be the tribesmen, right? Like they keep the community going, they have that, and then it gets the witches and the outcasts, and they're the ones that are kind of, they're on the outside looking in, but they also kind of stay with the tribe as well. And if the tribe starts to get too crazy or too weird or whatever, they're there. I mean, it's
Yes.
it's I would compare us to sociopaths. Um,
That's a
not
terrible comparison.
not in a bad way necessarily, but it's like, Mother Nature has selected. It depends on the season of humanity, where the sociopath is there if society breaks down, and they're like the crazy leader who does evil things to keep the tribe going or whatever. I think it depends. I'm not saying we're sociopaths, but I'm just saying, like, we're selected to be the guardrail against tribal madness. So let's say that the tribe is doing things too crazy or whatever. You need free. I mean, I don't think I'm special or whatever. I'm just saying I'm a certain type of person where, like just like you were saying, I needed to see the whole picture. I need to think of other things. I'm not dancing naked in the jungle myself, but like, it's a good metaphor though. It's like you're a different type of person that humanity needs, and humanity generally just needs the tribe people, but there's people like you and me who are kind of these outsiders, whatever, who are, the, I don't know if outcast, black sheep, whatever you want to call it is the right word, but they're just as necessary for the tribe as the true believers,
Of
because they're
course
kind of the
we
people who
are. Of
shift it.
course we're
Yeah.
necessary because we bring in the questioning that people miss in their lives. Some people
Yeah.
just follow blindly to whatever they're told. And I'm like, wait for it. I wanna question everything. I'm like, is this really it? And even the things that I truly believe these days, I question myself all the time.
Yeah,
Because
me
if we're
too.
not questioning ourselves, we are just part of this big, much brainless people who are going through life following rules they don't even know who made them in the first place and why they're there.
Yeah.
And it's not me. And I went to law school. I'm also a lawyer.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay. You've been through it.
I've done some stuff. I've done so I followed my dad's path. You know, he really wanted for me to graduate and do all this stuff. So I did it. I was an actress for 10 years, then went to law school, then got a master's in comparative law, focused on environmental law and human rights, then became an activist in the rainforest,
Jeez.
then got a PhD in geography to then decide I'm dropping all my degrees and I'm starting to work with women. And I want to do women's circle and create a community to support women through their healing. And I want to create spiritual retreats in the rainforest. And that became my new identity. But that's me, I like to constantly evolve and change and do different things and explore different sides of me and travel and see other cultures and understand other points of view. And I feel like that has given me perspectives that I wouldn't have if I were to stay in one place doing one thing one way.
Yeah. Do you think the tribes people are happier than you and I? I think they
Of
are.
course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, honestly, no. I came to a space in my life where I'm truly happy. And I know people who are not happy feel triggered by that. And they feel, oh, it's kind of funny. Nobody's happy all the time.
Nobody's happy
But
all
it
the
is a
time.
state
Yeah.
of mind. It is a choice. It is a constant choice. I believe that. And so I constantly wake up and make the choice to be happy and to make that day my better day. And so that has been my choice of living for the past 2 years. I was miserable 2 years ago. I was unhappy in my job. I had just had my second kid. I was feeling lonely. I had no friends. I was here in Denver, Colorado. And I almost died at my second child's birth. And
Oh,
I was
geez.
just like, I was questioning many things. And it kind of hit me. I'm like, no, you know what? It's time for a change. And so we left to Brazil. I took my kids to the rainforest. I opened my business that I wanted to open for so long. And honestly, I did not have a penny to do it. It was universe,
Wow.
help me here. Like, I would just talk to the universe. I sounded like a crazy person. My husband, who doesn't believe in anything, he's a very science-oriented person. He's like, you sound delusional right now. And
It's like, what are you doing?
I'm talking to the universe. I'm not talking to you. And everything changed in my life, and I have never been happier. Actually, it's been such a beautiful ride, but because I feel so much more connected to my soul and to my essence and to nature and so many things that matter before it doesn't matter at all. And plus I left the 9-to-5 job, which was really affecting my understanding of life and spirituality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's been a massive change.
Well, change is good. And I think my perspective is I want to live as many types of lives as possible, and the science life is definitely a part of me. Like I published a bunch of papers on biochemistry and stuff like that, and that's interesting. But I do feel like I'm missing. I want to live the spiritual side of myself as well, because that's a part of being human. Whether I like it or not, it's in there. And so
Yes.
I want to experience that as well, which is why I'm doing this. I feel like if you're too square for too long, you lose your humanity, unfortunately. So we need to feed the circle as well as the square.
And open up for the possibility. I know because I live with someone that is very skeptical person. My husband sees it's black and white. If I can see it, I can't prove it. It doesn't exist. And I'm always like, you should at least ask yourself, is it really? And give it a slight opportunity for maybe it's not true. It's something you were fed also, and you believe it. So for me, the constant questioning is so healthy, because it brings me so much perspective and also allows me to live at peace with someone that is the opposite of me. But it's like, it's okay. Everyone has their own path and their own way to see life.
Yeah. And like I said, I think it's genetic. my personal thinking is spirituality. I know it's unfortunate, but it's programmed in us what we are, and we can change and things like that. But my view on it is, I think I'm kind of a mix of what your husband says and what you say. But I think, I don't know if it's true, a lot of this stuff, but to me, it doesn't matter, because it's not whether it's true or not, it's whether or not it's a human need and what I am as a person. And I truly feel we evolved to be spiritual, tribal, cultural, whatever you want to call it. And without it, you're really missing out on what it is to be a person, or what it is to be a human being. A person who likes to dance around the fire, or dance in the jungle, or just anything, because it's who we are, you know. And you can fight it. I mean, you can be a perfect square, and that's fine, and maybe that's just all you want. But and there, I do feel there's a conflict, though, between the rational mind and the spiritual mind. And I don't think you should fight it. I think that you just need to accept it, and don't worry whether or not it's true. I would equate it to watching professional wrestling. Uh, Not to be too insulting, but even if you know it's not real, or even a movie, you know, you know, a movie's not real, right? But what it represents, and what it is, what it means to be human, is there, you know. And if you're sitting there and you're watching Spider-Man or whatever, and you're like, Spider-Man can't do that, you know, like, or that's not scientific. It's not. You're missing the point, right?
Yes, I agree. I agree completely. And honestly, it doesn't really matter if it's truth. For me, what matters is, do I want more of this in my life
Yeah,
or not? So I
yeah,
give it my attention or not. And also, the other thing for me is like, I respect a lot of religions. I respect whatever choice people are making for their lives.
yeah,
But there is an ultimate truth that we have forgotten as humanity, and is, you know, if we're not here to be the best person we can be, and to love and to bring more love into earth and to be kind to people, what the heck are we doing?
yeah.
Like, you're talking about religion and then you disrespect other people and then you want to tell them how to live their lives. That's just nonsense. It
No,
makes zero sense. And most of these religions are following the teachings of Christ. And Christ didn't come here telling people, follow this religion, adore me in your temple. He came here to say, love your neighbors.
yeah. Very simple,
It's very simple.
straightforward.
And so I feel like we're missing the point, unfortunately, and we've seen this growing movement of hate, and that it makes zero sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how humans are cyclical, just like a porcupine or something that only comes out in the spring. I think we're cyclical, and we're in the cycle of hate right now. And I don't think it has to be this way, but I do think that it always happens. And let us pray that it doesn't get as bad as it did in the 40s, or like the 1820s, or 1600s. Or human beings, we go through this. It's just like the stock market, crashing and rising and dipping, and it's human nature, you know. And so
Yes?
whether it's burning all the math books because we think they're evil, or something like that, we always go through these cycles. And let's just hope that it's not going to spell our doom, because we're getting really, really scientifically advanced enough to really do some real harm. And hopefully the hatred cycle won't do anything permanent. But well, I think
Who knows?
yeah, who knows. I know it's scary, but I think we'll be fine. It'll be fine. Everything's fine. We're good. We just have to keep a positive outlook. Well,
That's my motto. I'm always like looking at the positive side, even when the world is crumbling. I'm like, no, everything is working out
everything will be
already.
fine. Yeah, yeah, because you might as well. If you're going to be thinking, you might as well be thinking positively, right?
Exactly.
So we're at about time, and so thank you so much for joining me. So you're doing an ayahuasca retreat.
No.
It's not an ayahuasca retreat. Okay.
No.
You're just doing
I
a
know
regular retreat.
a lot of people ask me if I do ayahuasca retreats in the Amazon. I don't.
Okay.
And the reason why I don't do them is because I was in touch with ayahuasca for over 31 years, and I participated in more than 1,000 sessions. I know how serious it is, and I would not want to be responsible for bringing people to an ayahuasca ceremony.
That's smart of you, big of you. I had a friend who went on one and he didn't come back the same person, not in a good way. I think he just wasn't ready. He had mild schizophrenia already. And so I think,
Mm.
you wouldn't want to
Yeah,
be
so
responsible for that.
if people have, so I know that for schizophrenic people, they should not do ayahuasca. So please,
Yeah.
when you go to UDV, so I'm talking about UDV, this church that I was part of, but there are over 20 to 40 different churches in Brazil only that use ayahuasca for their ceremonies in different ways. And so there is a lot of different groups out there doing ayahuasca for religious purposes. And I know that in UDV, you have to fill up a questionnaire to know your health situation. Depending on the type of medication you take, you should not drink the tea. Depending on the time of a mental disease you have, you should not drink the tea. So those are things to be aware of, because it can trigger things on you that if you're not ready to deal with them, please be careful and be transparent with your medical condition before going to a ceremony. And also, don't just go to any retreat. There's so many, people who are not ready to lead ayahuasca ceremonies, who are doing it for profit.
Oh, no.
In
That's not good.
UDV,
Yeah.
no, it's not good. I can tell you this, if you're paying big cash for an ayahuasca ceremony, it's probably not the direction to go.
Okay.
You pay $0 to drink ayahuasca in any of those religions. It is part of the community, and, charging for a spiritual work is a very fine line. So I understand when you're paying for costs, but like if someone is profiting out of spiritual work, you should question that. So I always tell people to be very careful. I don't do ayahuasca ceremonies. I do know indigenous communities who do it that I trust, and I'd be happy to bring people to an indigenous community who does it. That's my work after all. And in my company in Samauma, I lead rainforest immersions. So I bring a lot of the scientific part because I'm a science person.
Yeah.
So you will get there and you will know everything about the place, the river, the communities, what is happening and what is not happening, but you will get the spiritual part of the work too. So I work with a shaman locally. He does rapa ceremonies. He does a little plant blessing. It's beautiful. It's very subtle.
That's
nothing,
cool.
Nothing that is gonna change you for life. But honestly, the Amazon changes people, and the deep contact with the rainforest changes you in so many deeper ways that, you don't need to drink anything to feel that energy and to feel that connection. And this year, so my upcoming retreat is with this girl. She's Brazilian, but she lives in Bali right now, and she's a tantric catalyst, and she's amazing. So I was in Thailand 2 months ago, and I participated in a sound healing with her, and she took me to Egypt in a sound healing ceremony without any tea, just with her voice. And after that, I was like, I want to work with this girl. Like, she's powerful.
She's figured it out, huh? How to get into the subconscious.
It was beautiful.
That's really cool.
Beautiful. And so we are co-creating a tantric retreat in the rainforest end of September this year. Only 8 spots in a luxurious yacht.
That's sweet.
In this place in the jungle that I I'm tempted to say it's the most beautiful place you will ever see in your life. I mean, picture pink dolphins, crystal clear river, water, white sand beaches in the jungle.
Are those
It,
freshwater dolphins? They can
it,
be in the rivers?
yes,
That's cool.
it's
Yeah, I think I've heard of those.
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this place is ridiculous. It is the place that you get there and you're going to be like out of breath every corner. Last year I took Alexander Calvert from Supernatural.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was like tearing up every day. He was like, what else? What else you have here for me to see? Because it's that powerful and that beautiful. So,
That's
yeah.
so cool. Yeah, I mean, there's growing theory that we evolved in the jungle. So maybe being somewhere like that, where it's like your primal root. It's like this is where you're supposed to be, because
Yes,
you're
you
supposed
get
to be a
that.
monkey swinging in a tree, and so it's like, oh, this is home.
It is home. And I
I'm just
take people to
yeah.
a Munduruku indigenous village for a sacred fire ceremony with them. And you can see how like a traditional indigenous community live. And we get to sleep in the forest one night. So there's a lot of interesting things happening in this retreat that it's a must. And we only have 8 spots.
8 spots. Okay.
Yes.
Well, if you send me the link, I'll put it in the YouTube description or Spotify, wherever else I'm going to post this. And is it only women? Is that
No,
no?
this
Okay.
is open for men and women, and we really encourage couples to come
Oh,
because
couples. Yeah.
Tantra is amazing to do it with your partner. It's a really opportunity for deep, deep connection. So if couples want to come, we truly encourage them. But if not, men and single women can come too because it's
Okay.
really, I mean, Tantra has changed my life. There's no description for it. I can see through people because of Tantra and Tantra practices. And we're not talking about sex, people. People think that Tantra is all about
I
sex.
was gonna say,
No.
what are you trying to sell here? No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're not going to get naked in the jungle. That's not about it. This is
I've heard of
about
this before. Yeah.
this is about deeply connecting with the forest's soul and people's souls and your own soul. This is about, getting deeper.
Yeah. I actually don't know anything about Tantra, so maybe we'll have to do another interview sometime where you can tell me all about it. Tell me all the non-sexual side of it.
Yes,
The
you
the
should bring
PG
Daniela. I mean,
PG
this
rated.
girl.
She'd be good. Well, I mean, if she wants to, you let me know. I'm all because I'm trying to get um, interesting people from every type of practice I can find, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of all this spiritual stuff. I'm actually
Interesting.
writing a book on it, but I'm trying to square the circle or circle the square or whatever.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks. I'm definitely going to need it. But all right, well, thank you so much, Maira. And yeah, is there anything you'd like to end on? Anything we missed or?
No, I think we covered it all and just sending endless love to you if you're listening to this. Um, you know, the other thing I was going to say that I think I missed it is people think that spirituality is a really intrinsic, weird, or flourish path or whatever it is, very complex, and it's not.
Yeah.
So when I hear people talking about, I'm thinking about ayahuasca, I'm waiting to hear the call of the plant. Oh, I'm really concerned about the dieta. I'm like, just fucking go. Like,
Just do it. Yeah.
it's not that complicated. You don't need a dieta. This is a very Western idea of how to do the tea. You can have a dieta, you don't need one. You will still have a spiritual experience because this tea is sacred and is powerful. And then you are going to be able to say, this is for me or this is not for me. But don't just do it with anyone, please.
Find the real deal. If you
Find the real deal.
if you have anyone, let me know. I'll put those in the links as well. I'm not trying to sell anything, but if you want to protect people from going off the deep
Now,
end,
I'm
like
always
I
open
have
to
seen.
answer to questions. When people reach out to me, I'm like, where should I go? Do you know this retreat? I'm always open to support them and find a safe space near where they are. Like, this is a mission. This is the very least I can do after so many ayahuasca ceremonies.
Yeah. Help people actually get the most out of it rather than going insane or
Yes.
being taken advantage of, because you're in such a vulnerable state that it seems like that's the perfect time for people to mess with
Yes.
you.
And this is why people should be careful with where and with whom.
Who they do it with. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed our conversation, and it was definitely the most surprised I've ever been in an interview or discussion in general. This was really fascinating. Really cool.
Good.
Yeah.
I
All
had
right.
fun too. Thank you for asking me to be here.
Oh, thank you. This is awesome. All right. Well, hopefully talk to you soon. And thanks everybody for joining us for the podcast.